Ross, can you, just in general terms, talk about your experience of supporting not-for-profit organisations, the things you've enjoyed, the things you haven't enjoyed about your engagement with them?
Sure, Nick. Two things, I guess. Firstly, while I was working, I didn't have a lot of spare time outside of the job. So I've always been a supporter of not-for-profits, and quite a number of them. When I retired, life took on a different meaning. I had more time, I had a lot of experience behind me, I shifted location. And it was then that I found that rather than just financial donations, I had some experience that I felt could be worthwhile to some organisation. And I'd have to say it was through Relate Partners that I was able to fulfil some of these obligations that I gave to myself more than anything.
Okay. And Ross, can you tell us why being personally engaged by an organisation that you're supporting is important to you?
Again, a couple of reasons here, Nick. Having shifted to a new area, I'm now down on the Mornington Peninsula, I knew there were a lot of issues down this way. I didn't know what they were. I hadn't come across them. I had been a supporter of the Salvation Army, particularly for a number of years, and through their efforts, more by getting out to people at the root causes of problems, I wanted to try and see if I could do something with the Salvation Army, but more relating to something local. So I was able then to develop up a relationship that I think benefited both myself and the Salvation Army.
Okay. And Ross, what does this sort of relationship, that is personal engagement, inspiring you that I guess the more typical form of fundraising request doesn't?
It enabled me to get a bigger insight into what some of the issues were down here. Through that, I've actually been able to incorporate some of my own friends and contacts around the place, because rather than get out and do the work, for example, on the street in a hands-on manner, I'm not capable of doing that. But there's a lot of background experience that I and my friends can bring to organisations such as the Salvation Army that can help them a number of ways. Either raise money, look at things on a business perspective, help with small little operations. One of the things that we've been looking at is doing some compost work around, getting youth on the peninsula to come in and help with collecting compost, getting some other friends that are experienced in this and trying to look at, is there a possibility of making a business out of this? That sort of thing where you can bring in both my and other experiences and hopefully along the way a bit of money also, is something that I get a lot of enjoyment out of, my friends are getting enjoyment out of it. The end recipients, I hope, will gain the most from it all, and certainly the Salvation Army in this instance are the people that bring the glue together.
Ross, what was it that eventually gained your confidence to the level where you were happy to introduce your friends and colleagues to this work?
Two things on that. Again, everything seems to come back to two things. Firstly, it was having a friendly approach from Relate Partners, if I'm allowed to use Relate, who are bridging the gap, if you like, between myself and the Salvation Army. I had been a donor towards the Salvation for a long time, but really I didn't know them personally. Getting the personal relationship up was the first instance. The Salvation Army have been fabulous because they've then introduced me to a number of their areas of operation and given me a greater insight into what is happening. From my point of view, I now feel more of a relationship towards them. I feel that where my efforts are going is worthwhile, and far more than sort of sitting back. I've now got that time. I wanted to try and help a little bit more, and I have.
Ross, as a major donor with a long history of philanthropy, what would your input to non-profit organisations be regarding attracting and attending to major donors?
The first thing is, don't be scared of getting out and getting close to your donors. A lot of them want to come in and help. They don't know how to do it. And so it's quite comfortable to sit back and say just provide a donation, a financial donation. But certainly when you retire, we do have extra time. We'd like to be able to provide a little bit more. So think of it that you're actually helping us as well. And once you get that relationship established and the donors can understand a little bit more about your work, you'd be really surprised at how that process will give you outcomes that you just haven't even imagined yet.